I'm going to walk you through lesson 9, and we're going to be learning how to add images to our web pages. So I am currently on lesson 9, using images, bubble 1. We have this little pop-up window here which tells us we are going to be working on a project across several bubbles. So I'm just going to X out of that. And my instructions say, a dog versus cat web page has been started for you. The dog image has already been added to the below web page. Look at the code that made the dog image appear. Use an image tag to add the cat JPEG image to the page below the cat heading. Now, if you're not sure how to do these things, you can always click on these little sentences or questions over to the right, such as how do I add images for more information? Why does an image tag not have a closing tag? And what is an attribute? So I'm going to go ahead and minimize my instructions. I'm going to look here at my code. I see I have my doc type, my HTML, my linking statement there in my head section. And then I'm going to check out my body section. I've got my heading, dogs versus cats. I have a second heading, which is dogs. And then I have this image tag here. One thing you're going to quickly notice is that the image tag stands alone. It just is image. And then we have two parameters in here. We have a source parameter, which tells us which file the image is. And we have an alt parameter, which tells us what words should appear if for some reason the browser cannot find this particular picture file. Then I have a paragraph, which is my attribution down here. And then I have another heading for cat. So I need to add a cat's picture down here at the very bottom under this H3 tag. So I'm going to go ahead and click at the end of line 15 and press enter a couple times. So I'm ready to put that image tag in. The next thing I'm going to notice is over here on the left, I have some new files showing up. I have the ones I'm used to, which is the index.html. I have a file called animals.css, which is just the style file we've learned about before. But for this particular web page, it was named differently. So you'll also notice in the index file that the href for the link tag says animals.css rather than style.css, so that the browser knows to go look at this file for all the style information. The next thing we're going to notice is there's two picture files here, and we know they're pictures because they have the little camera icon in front of them. So we have a cat.jpeg file and a dog.jpg file. So there is our two pictures. And it's actually really nice because if I click on these two pictures, it gives me information that I can use. If I scroll down, it gives me the tag that I need to actually use this in my HTML file. Or I can type all this out myself. So I can either copy and paste that where I want it, or I can go back to index and I can start typing. I'm going to go ahead and type. So I'm going to type the opening bracket, image, space, src for source, equals, and then I'm going to choose the cat picture from the pop-up. It's really important to choose the name of the file from the pop-up so that you spell it correctly, because everything matters. Capitals matter, whatever is after the period matters, everything matters. And then I'm going to do an alternate parameter, which is going to be cat picture. I'm going to go to the end of my tag and I'm going to close out that HTML line. And there is my cat picture. I am now on bubble 2. The instructions for this one says giving credit. When using someone else's image, you should give credit to the original creator. This is called attribution. The easiest way to do this is to add text below the image that identifies the creator and website it came from. You may also add information about the publishing license. Do this. Add information about where the image came from and its license. So code.org is telling us here where that cat picture came from. This image was found at Pixabay and was uploaded by user Alexis Fotis, who used a free for commercial use and no attribution required license. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at how we did the one for the dogs. And then I'm going to go down to the end of my image tag and I'm going to press enter. Yes, get rid of the script garbage. Try that again, enter, and I'm going to do a paragraph. And I am just going to look up here one more time so I can see what I'm doing. So I want to do Pixabay And then I'm going to do user Alexis Photos. And then this is free for commercial use and no attribution. So when I close out my paragraph tag, there we go. I'm going to scroll down to the bottom and make sure I have my attribution. Oops, I forgot the closing slash at the end of my P. Let's try that one more time. There we go. So we got our first one, we have our second one, and I have my attribution. Finish. Bubble 3. The details matter. The source src attribute needs to point to the exact file name of the image you want to use. That means you need to pay attention to spelling, capitalization, and the file extension. The file extension is what comes after the dots. Each of the 3 images on this page is broken because of an improper source attribute. Do this. Using the File menu for reference, fix each of the image tags. When you are finished, each image should display correctly in the web page preview. Note, even though the images are not loading properly, our website is still showing descriptive text of what should be there because we used alt attributes. Cool. I'm going to minimize my instructions. So I have a colors in nature file this time. Here's my heading. Here's my red heading. Oh, here's my image tag. I have src equals red.jpg, and then my alt tag is red sky. So now you can see how that alt attribute works, because whatever that parameter is, that's what's appearing instead of the picture. So I need to figure out what's wrong with these. So this first one, red, do I see a red over here? No, I see a red underscore sky. So once I fix these, oh, I don't want to choose it that way. Once I fix these, they should appear. If they start appearing, then you're doing well. Next, I have to do the grass. So we've got grass. This one looks okay. It's grass.jpg, and that's grass.jpg. So, oh yeah, capitals. Capitals do matter. So I got to get rid of these and change these to capitals because capitals matter. There we go. And my third one is the Blue Islands. Oh, I just misspelled that one, blue. So this is why I always prefer when I'm doing my image tags myself to choose it from the drop-down menu, because I make a whole lot fewer mistakes that way. So there's my 3 pictures showing up nicely. Finish. Choosing a good name. It's important for images to have good names, ones that are easy to understand and use characters that are good for links. This project's image names have some problems. Do this. For each image, fix the name according to the following rules. Avoid special characters such as ampersand, question mark, %, slash, parentheses, etc. Make sure the name has a specific meaning that helps you know what the image is. Use dashes or underscores instead of spaces. Keep the names as short as possible and still have a clear meaning. So what are they talking about here? So I'm going to raise this up and I'm going to open this, slide this a little bit bigger. So you can see all of these file names. Often when we save a picture from a website, when we're doing a Google search, it gives us some really crazy names. So we need to be in the habit of renaming those pictures to a single word that makes sense to us. Otherwise, like, we have no idea what 1565124851451 even is. So we need to give that a better name. So let's look at the instructions again, because they're telling us up here which image is what. So this picture here is a Connie bush frog. This image here is, I can't even say that word, some kind of frog. This one is the red-eyed tree frog. This is a fire salamander, and this is an axolotl. So we need to change these to be more appropriate to what they actually are. So I'm going to get rid of my instructions again. I'm going to click on this one. Oh, I can see that is the red tree frog. So how do I rename this? I click on this drop down and I choose rename, and then I'm going to say red-tree-frog. So don't use spaces. I also prefer not to use capitals at all, because that way it is easier to remember that I don't have to worry about capitalization if I make everything small. This is going to move it into alphabetical order, so don't worry about that. That's why it moved from the top of the list to the bottom of the list, because numbers always come before letters, and when I changed it to an R, that was the last one in my alphabetical list. The next one I have is the axolot, so I'm going to rename that one. And this time I'm going to get rid of all of this. We don't need to know it's a walking fish, and just call it axolotl. My fire salamander, I'm going to look at that one. There's my fire salamander. So the problem with this one is that exclamation mark. So I'm going to rename this one, and I'm going to just get rid of the exclamation mark. And my Connie bushfrog, we have a space in there, and that's going to be a problem. So I'm going to rename it to Connie dash bushfrog. And this one here is just way, way, way too long. So what was that one? That one was this crazy one here. So I'm just going to rename this one to be with a small p. And then I'm going to delete all of that. Whoops, that's not going to work. I'm going to delete all of this. Delete, 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 delete. Now don't change what comes after the period. That tells the computer what kind of file this is. So .jpeg is a picture file. .png is also a picture file, but don't change what comes after the period. Always leave that as is. Just change the names before the period. So now I've renamed everything. So I did the first step. And then it says choose your favorite image and add it to the web page. Don't forget the attributions. So I'm going to slide this back over so I can see all my stuff. Where's my window? Oh, I got rid of it in here. Squishing everything around. There we go. Now I can go to my index file, and I need to add one of these pictures to my page. So I'm going to go to the end of my heading 1 tag and press enter. And I'm going to put the image tag src equals, and I'm going to put the red tree frog. I'm going to do the alt image, the alt parameter, red tree frog picture. I'm going to end my image tag. There's my picture. And then I need to do my attribution. So the red tree frog came from Carrie James right here. So I'm actually going to just copy that, paste that down here, close out my paragraph. Let's see if that looks good. There we go. There is my picture and my attribution. Just on a quickly note here too that on this particular web page, the style file this time is called amphibian. So it doesn't matter what we call it as long as we link it correctly. Finish. Bubble 5. Uploading images. You can upload images that you found elsewhere using the Add Image button. Go find an image of a different type of pet that you like and download it to your computer using right-click, Save As. Once you have your images, click the Add Image button right here and upload the image from your computer into your project where you can then use it in your page. So we have this dogs versus cats. We have dogs, we have cats. We need to add a third section to this. So I'm going to do dogs versus cats. Yes. Versus birds. I did all of my stuff just break. There we go. So I'm going to go over to a Google image search. So I'm going to go to my Google. I'm going to go to images, and I'm going to look for a bird. And I like this one, so I'm going to click on it. I am going to right click on it, say Save Image As. I'm going to make sure it is in my picture folder. And I am also going to make sure that I put it into, well, that's okay. I'm just going to call this Bluebird 1021 so I can find this again. Hello. And then I'm going to go to code.org and I'm going to click on Add Image. And now I have to click on Upload File to find my file. So that one I just called was Bird, Bluebird 1021. I'm going to click on Open. I can see it's uploading it, and now I have it in my list. So I'm going to click on the Close. And when I do, my bird image pops up right here. So now I am able to use it. Refresh and save again to get my pictures. There we go. Now I'm going to add this section to the bottom of my page. First, I'm going to get rid of script because that just keeps popping up by mistake. So I'm going to do another H3 heading because I want to do birds. And you can pick whichever animal you want. I'm going to do my image source equals bluebirds. My alt equals bird picture. Close that tag out. And then I have to say Google. And actually it's from Bird Watching Magazine. So I'm going to say Google and, can't do the and that way, and Bird Watching Magazines. Actually, we don't find any images directly through Google. Google's just a search and a way to show us images on other websites. So right down here it tells us where this picture comes from. And it says that it may be subject to copyright, but we are doing this in school, so we get a little bit more freedom when we're in school doing this than we would if we were out in the business world. So we're going to go ahead and use this on our website, but I'm just going to say that I got it from Google and Birdwatching website. And I'm going to close out my P tag. I am going to refresh my page, scroll down, and there is my bird picture. But whoa, it's so big. So big. That's okay. We're going to learn how to fix that in a different bubble. So I'm going to say finish. Bubble 6 is 7 different activities. I want you to work through these independently. Make sure you are reading each of the instructions and do at least 2 of these. If you have time, do more. So work through those independently. And then bubble 7 is your assessment bubble. So this one says all about you. You can use images to make a web page more personal. Do this. Add an image to the page. Make sure to follow the rules about copyright, naming, and using good coding styles. So you need to add a picture on this page that represents something about you, and you have to add the attribution. You have to tell me where you got it from. Make sure you also name it nicely. So you're going to have a picture file here, and then you're going to have 2 additional tags in here. You're going to have an image tag and a paragraph tag to put the image on there and also the attributions. And then on bubble 8, we have the challenges, and I'm going to walk through bubble 8A because this is where we get to learn how the height and width works. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through this one with you. This one says height and width attributes. Images are not always the right size for a web page. Luckily, there are width and height attributes to see how many pixels tall and wide an image is. Add the attributes inside the image tag using height equals and width equals. So we're going to go ahead and look at our pictures here, and we see we have some that are really big. So that first one looks okay. This is the corgi one. I'm going to turn my inspector on. So that's the corgi tongue. This is the corgi in a tent. And then we have this one, which is fluffy corgi. So these are the 2 we have to fix. So I'm going to go right here after the alt. Turn that back off. No, off. There we go. I'm going to go to the corgi in the tent line, go to the end, and I'm going to do width. You don't need to do both. It is done in, I got to do equals 50. It is done in pixels, and if you do both height and width, it might distort the picture. So I prefer to only do one or the other. So I'm going to make this one 250. That's nice. Actually, you know what? I'm going to make it the same as this one because that one's 300. And then, put in quotes anyways. There we go. Then they'll be the same. And then I'll also do the same for this one. So this is going to be width equals 300. Let's spell it right. That would help. Width. Alrighty. And there's my 3 pictures, and they line up really nicely since I made all their widths the same, but their heights are different. So I know on this first one they did use height and width, but I prefer not to, because when I've tried to do that, I usually distort the image. So the computer will keep it in a nice non-distorted way if you only do width or height. So that is Bubble 8A. If you have time, definitely work through one of the other challenges, B or C. And I hope you had fun today learning how to add images to your web page.